So we're working on this agent simulation, synthetic data generation, and we are going to be creating a bunch of people in a warehouse and making them walk around and do various things. So the first thing we have to do is go into our extensions and enable these two extensions. So let's do that. So search for agent SDG. Actually, we're just enabling it because it's obviously already installed, and let's auto load it. And this one as well. Okay, it's enabled and auto load. Okay, so now we're going to go to Tools, Replicator, Agent SDG, and here we've got that extra panel now. Okay, I'm going to click on the Setup Simulation button, and it's going to start loading the assets. Okay, so that's loaded. It took about 2 or 3 minutes. And let's close up each of these tabs, and we want to go to character settings, and we want to generate random commands. And now we're going to save the commands. And now we're going to go and start data generation. Okay, this is going quite slowly, but you can see this little policeman here is walking through. It's going sort of frame by frame. Just wait for him. There he does 1 or 2 little steps, and I'm just going to fast forward through this until there've been a few more changes, and then we'll see the whole thing right at the end. And now we can see the lady that was standing here is now following the policeman. We can see her moving frame by frame along with him. And we can see also the person at the back of the warehouse here now is starting to turn. There we go. And now we can see they've walked almost out of sight here on the left. And the guy that was standing there is now out of sight already. Okay, it's finally done. It took quite a while, I think close to an hour and a half to complete. And let's see what it's given us. Okay, so in the replicator results, we've got, I guess, 4 different camera perspectives. So let's look at the first one. Go to RGB and let us step through the images. Okay, there's no real change there, no movement yet. So let's go a bit further into the process. There we go. So it's starting to move. All right. Let's check camera 1. Okay, that one we've got some motion right from the start. And let's check camera 2. Okay, and that matches up with what we saw in the first one. And let's check camera 3. Okay, some head moving there, but not much else. Let's go a little bit further into the series. Okay, there's no one left there. And still no one left. Okay, let's figure out how we can convert this into a video so we can see it a little bit easier. Okay, so it's a little bit frustrating that each of those are images. We'll figure out a way to turn that into a video in a moment, or maybe there's some kind of setting we can make here. Otherwise, we'll just turn it into a video ourselves. But let's look at some of the settings we've got. So we've got a seed, and it'll just use a random seed if we put in there. I think it just uses a timestamp. But if you put in the same seed, then it will generate exactly the same data. So if you want to reproduce, just use the same seed. Simulation length at obviously 18 divided by 30 gives us 60 seconds, and that's probably why it took so long. Next time I'll just maybe make 300 frames, and that'll give us 10 seconds. And let's see what else we've got here. Okay, so we're just specifying how many cameras, which lines up with the number of camera folders with the images that we got. Otherwise you can list specific cameras there, others it'll just create 4. And character settings 8, so there are 8 characters in there, and then we can see on the data that's been generating the random commands, we can see per character, first character, go to these coordinates at this time, go to those coordinates, and then just basically look around, and then character 1, look around at that timestamp, then idle for 2.5 seconds, then go to that place, then idle. Okay, so these are just instructions on what each character needs to do. Let's go and see character 2 if there's anything else. So it's just basically look around and idle. And we can either put in our own here, but I just hit the generate random commands, which you saw earlier. And robot settings, it's the same as for humans, but we didn't set any robot settings. So we've got novacarters and transporters we can specify there. I guess those are the only 2 robots that the simulator will create. And again, we would list the number of robots and then each one's instructions. So it would be just the same as humans. And then we've got under our replicator settings, I guess various different types of writers. So it's outputting in PNG, which is what we saw. This is interesting. So we can specify semantic segmentation, instance ID segmentation, which is really cool. Okay, which will be great for when we want to use this for training. It'll all be segmented, which will be amazing. And I think it's done some default segmenting for us. If we go and look in there, okay, so it's done object detection, but it hasn't done segmenting. Okay. Okay, so now what I've done is I've gone into each of these folders and I have run this command, ffmpeg, and I've output that into this output.mp4, and we can see now, let's look at that file and we can actually watch the video, and let's just put it at a faster playback. Okay, there we go. It's much better. Now we can see everyone walking around. And let's watch the other video. And the third camera. Okay, everyone's out of sight now. Let's go forward. Oh, there we go. They're coming back into sight. And the last camera. So I'm going to go ahead and create a slightly shorter simulation. I'm going to make this 300 frames, so that'll be 10 seconds worth. And I am going to change the camera number to 2. I'm going to make it just 2 characters. For some reason it's not updating our character count here, but hopefully it's going to reset in a moment. So let's go down to our robot settings and let's make 1 novacarter and 1 transporter. And let's generate some random commands for our robots. Okay, it seems like the reason it wasn't saving is I hadn't set up the simulation. So once I clicked set up simulation, now all the boxes below seem to be reacting. So now I've just got 2 characters and I've got very little time for instruction because it's only 10 seconds. So it's basically at the 7-second mark, go to that location, and for character 2, it's idle for 3 seconds, look around for 3, and then go to that location at the 9-second mark. And we're going to go to the robots, and we've got our 2 robots. Let's generate the random commands there. Nova Carta, those are the instructions, and the transporter, those are the instructions. And I'm just leaving all the replicator settings as default. Okay, one thing I've just changed is I've added some extra cameras. I know I set it up with only 2, but I'm worried that we won't actually get any of the interactions if we've only got 2 cameras and 2 people and 2 robots. So hopefully those extra cameras will catch some of the action. And I have just modified the output directory. And lastly, I went into the transporter, which had just idle, and I added go to command there. So let's go ahead and run that. And while that's busy running, let's have a look at the documentation on people simulation. So agent control, sorry, not people simulation. People simulation is, I think, a previous package. So we are using Replicator.Agent. Let's go back one page. And these are the various commands. So we've got go to, which we've seen in action. We have got idle, which we've also seen in action. Then there's look around, which we may not have noticed, but that is one of the commands there. Sit. Now obviously we do need to specify a prim path for the seating to happen on, and we didn't have any of those in the warehouse, so we haven't put that into our simulation. And then there's also queue. So it does say though that you first have to define a queue. So let's have a look at how that looks. Here are people queuing. And then robots have got a go to, idle, and a lift up and down. Let's see those in action. So that's the idle, that is the go to, and let's see the lifting up and down. There we go. And it also talks about allowing custom commands. So let's look at some of those examples. I guess we can do that in another video down the line, but we can see here they have created a custom command for pushing a button. There we go. For typing on a keyboard. So our simulation has finished now, but it hasn't seemed to run the way in which I would have expected it to run. I did check this write robot camera data option, and it has written the data, but if we look at the commands, there is an idle and then a go to for the transporter, and for Nova Carta there's also a go to. And the problem with that is it doesn't seem like either of them moved, because if we look at the information from the cameras, so all of these cameras for both the Nova Carta and the transporter have static images for the full 10 seconds, although they were supposed to have been moving. So I'm not going to spend time now debugging why that happened. It obviously did write the camera info as it meant to, and it wrote the 2 cameras with the people in it. But I think in a further video I'll go a little bit deeper into trying to get the camera data to write. But just as an example, just so you can see what we're going to see, that is the camera for Nova Carta, and then the rear camera or the third person view is going to be that. Also pretty cool. And yeah, we will debug that in another video. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like or subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Ciao.